Hey, it's the King of Connecticut here, and I wanted to explain why you'll never hear me say the word Mafia unless it's related to the island of Sicily. Now, Sicily was a conquering route for a number of folks that was conquered by the Greeks, it was conquered by the Normans, it was conquered by the Arabs, by the Moors, and by the French. And the origin of the word mafia goes back to an old wives' tale, an old fable that was told many times and throughout generations while the French occupied the island of Sicily. And the fable goes that a young woman was raped, a young Sicilian woman, by a French occupier. And they dragged the rapist, through the streets because the woman's mother was screaming, "Mafia, mafia!" And some interpretations of the fable, it's the woman's mother, and some it's the woman's father. But it was essentially revenge against the French, and uh, that is something that I consider to be dear to me personally. Obviously, I'm not a full blooded Sicilian. I'm very proud of the Granahan name. My cousin Kathleen was the first female attorney general of the state of Pennsylvania. And talk about toughness. Anybody who's ever been in the life will tell you Irish were definitely among the toughest. The worst knockout I ever saw was as a young man, as a young boy, uh, when a guy owed my grandfather money, and he was a very, very tough guy from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Patrick Ranahan Sr. actually wrote about him in the Rough and Tumble book that I did years ago with Eric Paulson. But back to Sicily, I have grandparents who came from Sicily. My mother's very proud Sicilian. My uncles, and they it was a different time in the 70s when the Godfather movie came out. And there is a story that my mother always tells of her grandfather getting stopped at the airport when he was flying to Sicily and getting profiled and abused. My grandmother always hated the fact that Sicilians were associated with being gangsters. She was very intelligent. She was an English teacher. We had other folks in the family who went the other way, more towards, Cosa Nostra. But my grandmother always hated that gangster stain that was put on us. And when the Godfather movie came out, my grandfather, and as my mother tells it, her grandfather, my great grandfather, were disgusted. They were part of the folks. My great grandfather was part of the group with Joe Colombo that was trying to stop getting that movie out, because that was something that was a secret society. Again, the word mafia going back to Sicily, and Cosa Nostra just being an offshoot of that in America. So it's really, as the liberals say, cultural appropriation to use the word mafia when you're describing even Italian organized crime in America, because it's not. It's specific to the island. It's specific to the history of our island. So I understand that it's been used casually. It's been used inappropriately to describe Russian. You'll hear them say Russian mafia, and people just use that word so cavalierly now and casually, and I understand that. But I'll never do it. So you'll never hear me say mafia unless it relates to the island of Sicily. A little education for you people.